Good afternoon, everyone. Happy Friday. So today we're going to talk about these political questions and things about what we're seeing right now. There's a lot of interesting political phenomenon that has to do a lot with women and their choices that are all kind of like happening close together, right? We have the Japanese Prime Minister and her recent interview, and she kind of like let everyone know who she really was. We have the president of Mexico with some very pro-feminist policies. We have Mamdani being voted in. So all these things kind of happen very close together. So, and the thing is, like, again, whenever a political event happens, we want to believe that it's the liberals versus the Republicans or the women versus the men. It's blah blah blah, right? But in terms of the red pill and intersectional dynamics, right? You have to understand certain things to build a framework as to understanding every political phenomenon that happens. Um, and the first political phenomenon, or sorry, the first intersectional dynamic, or the first thing that lens of which you can look at through everything is that there is no Republican and liberals, right? There is man and women when in terms of politics. And let me explain. So politically speaking, um, Republicans kind of are more of a male-centered party, right? It's based on merit, which is a male thing. It's based on morals and values, earning your keep, preserving the status quo, order, structure, blah blah blah. Right? That is the Republican Party. Whereas the Democrat Party um, is more of like giving to others, or like taking care of the downtrodden. Everyone should have an opportunity, and it's more female centric, right? More understanding, more emotional, more giving out free stuff to people that they think they need. So as you can see, most people, most men, especially men that are like probably more accomplished and young men, are probably going to vote Republican. I don't know the demographics, right? But and women overwhelmingly vote Democrat. And when it comes down to it, a lot of times it's the woman vote that decides elections. Now, have you guys seen in elections? Elections are very strategic. It's a war of for the soul of the country, and a lot of times, um, where a lot of like political commentators miss and all that stuff, right, is that they keep thinking that liberal and Republican are really what's at play here, when it's really women's interests versus men's interests, right? So, for example, there were some things that happened right before Trump got elected, like TikTok being saved, so to speak, saved um, at the last moment, at almost the 0 hour of the election, right? And what is TikTok but an app that women use to gossip, complain about men, shake their ass, whatever, right? A diary for women. And another thing that happened was Trump came out and said, "Hey, the abortion thing, I'll leave that up to the states." Right? He didn't outright say I'm against it, even though he probably is. But yeah. So essentially, those things kind of like I would like to say that pushed women to vote Republican, and that's why Republicans won the election. I know Kamala is very like wasn't going to win. So good luck, right? It was tough for her to win, but when it comes down to it, guys, like this is what politics are. It's all politics are gendered. What the left represent women and the right represents men. However, now that women are in political spaces, right? Now women are joining and having power, whether it be as influencers, as actual politicians, CEOs, wealthy people, influential people, the wives of presidents, the wives of leaders, and all that stuff. They're becoming politically active too. And so what happens now is that uh, you have women on the left and women on the right. But before women are political, there are women. So what people got to understand is that more than anything, women vote in their best interests. And the thing is with men usually don't do that. We want to vote for the greater good, right? Because that's how we see society. Like I have a responsibility to society, and women have a responsibility to themselves. It's Brieflitz law. they are the most important thing in their lives, and that's biology. It's the way they think. So, um, as time goes on and you try to understand these political events and why they say or do things, just look at it through that lens. Hey, women will always watch out for themselves and other women first before men. And how does this even fit into like what's happening? Well, first off, we have let me bring this up. Someone had DM'd me this, so I'll bring it up. Um, we have the prime minister. I think her name is Takaichi. Correct me if I'm wrong. Taiki Takaichi, yeah. Um, hold on. Okay. Uh, one moment. There we go. Okay. So here we have kind of like an excerpt, like an interview that happened with the Japanese prime minister, right? And like I'm not. This is not a dig on her. I'm sure she's do fine, but like, these are already kind of like a rug pull where guys are like, she's more right wing than your average right wing person. She's gonna save Japan. She's gonna do this. She's gonna do that, right? And here I'll read it for you guys. PM Takaichi had just had a disastrous Q&A session. She lost most of her support overnight. I don't know if that's true, right? That maybe X tends to over exacerbate public sentiment or whatever. So take that with a grain of salt. But on immigration, will you do anything about foreign labor? Europe has proven that mass migration undermines national stability. Takaichi said, "We will continue accepting foreign workers to meet domestic shortages and promote coexistence." Boom, that's a big one, right? Like whether it happens or not, just the fact that you say that, um, far she's supposed to be far right wing, and already she's taking left wing policies and accepting them and move and you know she's not even lying about it to her voters, right? On consumption tax, will you cut the consumption tax to curb inflation? Takaichi said, no, because cash register systems would take time to adapt. People noticed such problems didn't exist when they were raising tax. On COVID era censorship and vaccine injuries, will you investigate vaccine related health issues in government cooperation with online censorship? Takaichi deflected, praised existing systems, and refused to commit to any investigation, sided with the World Health Organization and globalism and censorship. Terrible look for what was once the strong conservative hope. Um, yeah, and then let me see if I scroll down here. X and Telegram groups are overwhelmed by with her posts accusing her of betrayal and weakness. It took 2 weeks for the mask to slip. Now, obviously this is X. They tend to exaggerate things, so give it time, see what actually happens if you care. But yeah, guys, it's just here. It goes to show you that what we're seeing now, right, is that women have these flaws, or I wouldn't say flaws, but they have these realities about them. They may be a little unflattering, and it sucks. Where here, women will always support women first, regardless of political party. Um, so, for example, on the topic of like abortion debate, right? Whereas men will say all day abortion is murder, even some women will say abortion is murder, but we do not try women for murder that do it. We do not. We cannot fathom. We just can't. As a society, we can't do it. Even if it's a state where it's illegal, we cannot. We will never move forward with trying it for murder, even though conservatives say abortion is murder. Now, whether you agree with that or not, it's not the point, right? The point is that uh, everyone wants to support women, even women, and men have a protector instinct. And for us, trying to end the life of young women who have done abortion is very difficult. It is goes against our biology, it's jarring to us. It completely it just doesn't jive with our biology. So um yeah, so that's the first thing. The other thing is that women cave to public pressure and the status quo, right? So in every semblance of life, whenever there's a trend, whenever there is a overarching opinion or something, women tend to just go along with it, right? They're not usually not trendsetters. They just go along with what's popular. They come to what's popular. They don't make popular things. So whenever you guys see, like yesterday, I don't know if it's today or yesterday, Starbucks dropped a honey bear cup um as part of like a holiday special thing, whatever. And they went viral for it, and then now every woman wants it, right? And maybe some feminized guys. I don't imagine a straight guy waking up at 4 in the morning, 4:50 in the morning to stand in line for a cup, right? But women do this, right? Not because so much because they need a cup or anything, right? They do it because it's a trend. They do it because it's the status quo, and women do not like to upset the status quo. It's just their biology, is who they are. So if the status quo right now was that, hey, we need immigration, and she's getting pressured for these issues, she's not gonna risk. Like, they care about the reputation of being liked more than they care about doing the right thing, right? They don't have that same tie or I would say that same bond or link to morality and doing the right thing as men do, right? Their biology predisposes them to watch out for themselves and their reputation before they watch out for others. Now, are most politicians very selfish? Yes, because they have to kind of be like, it's not only a woman thing. But for women, it's not something that they have to learn. Like, men, in order to be uh, the type of person like that. It's You have to be a little bit sociopathic. They have to um kind of play the game a little bit, like consciously. Women are just like that because. So every politician that's female will always put themselves first and their issues first. And I rarely see women going to bat for men, right? And it's sad because men buy in the most in society, young men, right? They buy in the most. We're the ones paying the most taxes. We're the ones doing all the shitty jobs. We're the ones going to war if we have to, or serving in the military. We buy in the most. We give the most, and we are the least prioritized group of people in the world, and that sucks, right? And that is why we say, hey, despite all the despite everything feminism has done, feminism cannot figure out um how to get men and women to get along, and how to get men and how to benefit men as well, right? Because the strategy of feminism is to give women power at the expense of men, right? All of the authority, but none of the responsibility. The responsibility is for men. So whatever women do, men are at fault for it if they mess up. Now, if they do something amazing, then it's their fault. They did it. Congratulations. And that's just feminism in a nutshell. Um, which is why, like, female politicians have a lot of trouble accepting negative praise and negative, just like any woman. It sucks for them. They crash out, they burn out. It's hard for them to uh, be seen as someone that made a mistake and ruined, a country, or ruined a term. Right? They're always like, for example, Kamala Harris, when she lost, she wrote a book and she blamed the manosphere as part of the reason she lost. Right? She didn't blame. She blamed guys, I guess, like the Fresh and Fit guys or whatever podcast or whoever, Andrew Tate, for her loss, instead of saying, "Hey, I'm unpopular, I suck, I this and that." And same thing with Hillary Clinton. Any woman that's lost an election ends up blaming everyone else, right? And even that's really what cost Hillary Clinton the election, right? She kind of called everyone a deplorable. Half the people in this country are deplorables, and it's just like, what did you just say? Like, how could you say that? And that really is just, never interrupt your enemy when doing a mistake, and she made a big mistake. So yeah. Uh, in terms of if you guys have any questions, please ask. We can turn this into a Q&A eventually, but right, but in terms of who else? Let's see. Let me open. There's more. I have more tweets. Um, okay, so I have another one here. I'll bring this up. Alrighty. So, uh, essentially, Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum just said, fighting war against drug cartels is unlawful because it would violate the rights of our drug traffickers, the rights of drug traffickers, and it would be fascist. Returning to the war against the narco is not an option. First, because it is outside the framework of the law. Returning to the war against the narco. Okay, I said, or have said on several occasions, it is permission to kill without any trial. She must be drinking from the same cup as Kamala Harris because what the heck is she saying? And here, here again, here's now I don't know how corrupt the political system in Mexico is. I'm gonna assume it's very corrupt, and maybe she's scared, or maybe she doesn't want to upset the status quo or anything, or accept any responsibility for a problem that's probably hurting her people. But remember, another thing about women is that women are rule followers, right? Women don't like breaking the rules. Uh, Women like to just uh, they're not loyal to men, they're loyal to the rules. So if you look at this, she's saying, "Oh, well, the law says I can't do it," right? Whereas people, I think plenty of people will be okay for her going in and fixing this problem with the power she has. Um, if you guys look at what's his name, Bukele, I don't know if I'm saying his name right, the president of El Salvador, right? He's doing what's necessary. I'm not saying he's perfect, right? But he's doing what's necessary to clean up his streets. And he just said, "Hey, I'm just putting everyone in the prison, and that's it. There is no like human rights here. These people are killers. These people are killing innocent people. They don't. There is no human rights with people that want to take away other people's lives, right? Like we're not gonna feel sorry for people and give them a chance. Like this is done now. And look, now his country is one of the safest countries in the Western Hemisphere, if not the world, just because he took action. Was it risky? Yeah, politically, yeah, it was a politically risky move because just like the 48 Laws of Power state, too much change at once is a bad idea. But he just said, "F it," right? And she doesn't have the will to do that because she cares more about her standing and following the rules than she does, breaking them for the greater good, right? So, yeah. She's a con artist? Yeah, I mean, it seems so. She's a total clown. Yeah. Yeah, and we're gonna talk about this, Grim. How like how women get past this, pull this past men and like they get to these positions of power, right? Helen Andrews has written about what happens to feminist societies. There are plenty of videos of her on YouTube. Yeah. Anyways, guys, moving on. So then the last one is the Mom Donnie. I mean, I don't have to share. I think I muted him because it was just too much on the timeline for me, right? Um, but the thing is with Mom Donnie, a lot of people are asking you, "Hey, well, how did he win?" Blah blah blah. And looking at the voting is all about demographics, right? People think, that their demographic is the one being catered to or the one or the enemy. No, there are demographics, and it's usually the demographics are um people like older, I think it's like older millennial women who make 100K or more, which in New York, I think you need to make 100K to even have a normal life there without being in poverty or something or living like shit. But yeah, it's basically that. And so Mamdani wins, and everyone is like mad. Everyone's coping. The conservatives are mad. Now we're arguing who's hotter, Mamdani's wife or Trump's wife. Blah blah blah. All this stupid shit, right? And the thing is, I want to tell you another thing, right? A lot of women or a lot of men are like, hey, can they not see the future of what's gonna happen if a guy that's like a democratic socialist wins mayor of New York? What is he gonna do? The policies and all that stuff. Like, do they not see the future and the thing is, they don't care. So stop trying to convince women that they're dumb and try to, ask them to change political parties or the way they think because they don't care. The understanding is that no matter what women do, men will be there to pick up the pieces, and that is how they think, right? Yes, women can take accountability, but what they cannot handle is the consequences, right? They can say, "Oops, I messed up," right? But they cannot deal with what happens. So, if crime starts skyrocketing, if things become very difficult in New York, right? All that's going to happen is they're going to look to men. men with uniforms on, police uniforms and firefighting uniforms on, to say, "Come save us," and they will. And this is why these things get so far. It's because women are not convinced that men are gonna abandon them, and they're not, because women want to support women and men want to support women. Men want to support women more than men want to support men, right? I know that they, a lot of people think it's the opposite. I'm like, no, men want to support women so much. We'll vote women into presidency just because they're a woman and want to see women shine. That's how much we support women. It is biological. We worship them. We can't help it. All you can do is like regulate it a little bit, catch yourself when you're doing it. But yeah, guys, we can say that, New York is cooked, all that stuff, blah blah blah. But the thing is, um, if things get bad, then essentially men will just step in and fix it, as we always done. And I know there's this thought that like, oh, it's just gonna go to shit. Women are gonna pay the price. I'm like, just like during the war in Ukraine, the women didn't just stand by and take the consequences of the war, right? Even though wasn't their fault, but like they just left. They just left. They went to Florida. They went to United States. They became political. They sought political asylum in other countries, and that's it, right? And men were all fine with that. And when they come back, men are going to be like, "Hey, welcome back. We lost or we won," which they're probably going to lose. But the political discussing women in politics is very blackpilling, right? Because people have a lot of stake in the political system. They're very invested in it, in that it will deliver them some kind of better life, whether it be cheaper steaks or better roads or better schools or lower taxes, right? But understand this, guys, and you can take this as a black pill if you want. Realize that both political parties are here for women. It's women first. They will never pass something that it only benefits men. Everything that the political parties work towards have to benefit women first and then men second or third, right? Children, um, immigrants, us working class males, the guys that buy into society the most, the guys that are working the longest hours, the guys that are trying to make enough money so we can eventually have a family, whatever. We are always going to be the bottom priority, even if they say we're not, right? And I know like now we're seeing a lot of a shift where our demographic is, they're kind of pandering to us, or at least trying to get us back to vote and care. But the thing is, like I said, it is easier to sell to just women than it is to sell to men and women, right? It's easy to sell to men, it's easier to sell to women, but it's out of those three, the most difficult is selling to men and women. So you have the Republican Party. We already know more or less what it stands for. How do you sell the Republican Party to both men and women? How do you do that? Right? How do you do that? Yeah. Yes. Yeah, women and men have a bias towards women. Yeah, we can't help it. You see the Christian nationalist who's trying to repeal the 19th Amendment because well, there is no appealing the 19th Amendment. Just the amount of paperwork it would take, and the amount of blood on the streets, it's never going to happen, right? Like the real question is, how much blood do you want to spill so women can't vote anymore? Because when you ask to take away rights from women, you're asking for war. And again, if you think for a second that women are going to self-subjugate, that they're just going to let go of their power voluntarily because we said so, think again. And if you think that other men who support women, which is 90% of them or more, who love women and want to and worship them, aren't going to get guns and protect them at all costs, then you're also have some, like, it does not matter. Like, it's not, the 19th Amendment is never going away. Dan Bongino, Republicans are not the fix, but liberals are most certainly the cause. Yeah, I agree with that. I know that he has a couple bad takes, but it's not, Republicans are not the fix, right? There is no fix, so to speak, right? It's just technology has allowed women to do these things, right? They have birth control, they can delay childhood and marriage. So now they can have time to be in the political process and vote. And they're usually going to vote for things. The most important thing they vote for is abortion rights. And the reason is that they have deemed that being dead is better than being poor. And you may think, well, like back in the day, women were poor and they had babies and all that stuff, blah, blah, blah. Right. But the thing is, there was a social contract, um, and women didn't have much of a choice. Right. There wasn't birth control. There wasn't, um, men were still very valued. A women's survival was tied to men and all that stuff. And children were also helpful in the home. It was important to have them. They're part of your retirement plan as well, blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, and in fact, they're never like asking women to self-subjugate, asking women to understand your experience. Hey, ladies, you never understand what it is to be a man. This is how it is to be a man. They don't care. Uh, Yelling at women that they're stupid and liberal doesn't work. Nothing works. Here's what you have: removing your time and attention, which men are doing, right? So, for example, they keep bitching about, oh, men are leaving the workplace, men are leaving college, men are leaving the political process, men are leaving. Well, I'm like, yeah, we're doing what we're supposed to. When you see a system that does not give a shit about you, that you are the last priority, even though you're buying in the most, why keep buying in at that level? Now, I personally think, hey, like, you have to make some money out here and you have to strive to be better. And voting is not going to kill you, right? It's not like, it's not going to like vote go out and vote for someone that's not crazy. Fully support that, right? But at the same time, I understand why men are walking away, and that's really the white pill. I mean, it's a positive thing that men we're logical, right? So we look at it from a logical lens, like, hey, I don't. I'm 31. I don't have enough money to buy a house. I Women don't like me that much. Even if you're spinning plates, women are like, I don't know, I just wanna have fun, and they'll sleep with you, but they're not trying, right? And even if they are trying, they suck at being girlfriends and wives, right? They can't fry an egg. They can't, waking up at 7 AM for them is hard. They're on TikTok all the time, and, like, they don't wanna have babies. Like, even if they marry you, they're that's what the statistics say. So, man, look at all this stuff, and then, we see all the money we're giving away to other countries while your steaks are double the price they were in 2016. And, yeah, you look at that and you're just like, "Well, I don't care anymore. I can see that I'm not the priority here," right? I can see that. The president is talking about abortion, and I'm talking about, "Hey, I don't wanna buy a house. I wanna move on with my life." So, when things don't seem like people care about you, you move on, you leave. You're like, "Okay, cool. I finally accept that that politics is not like neither party is both of them are trying to, uh, appeal to women, not me, right? And how do you appeal to women? You allow them, or you are lax on abortion laws and rules. You tell them that men aren't good enough. That's a big one on both sides. They love saying that men aren't good enough. On the left, they'll say men are too toxic and like toxically masculine, and they have to be softer. And then on the right, they say the opposite. Men aren't masculine enough. They have to be harder. Blah blah blah. And it's just like and then and here's the sad part, men actually try to live to both of these ideals. Like, men on the left try to be even more lame and wussy, and then men on the right try to be harder and grow beards and go to the gym. And I'm like, guys, neither of these parties prioritize you. You are the last person that they think about. They want the female vote. Women vote more than men, right? Yeah, it would be nice if all men went out and voted, right? But men are checked out, and it's not their fault. They just made a rational decision that said, "Hey, I have nothing. I have no stake in this. Like, it's at the system. The world keeps asking more of me. Houses To buy a house in Dallas, you need to make 150, 125K, right? And you need to make like what $3,000. Mortgages are $3,000 with HOA and all that stuff. I can't afford that now. I'm making 80K, 90K, 110, whatever. I can't afford that. And if I do, I have to get a roommate. Or I could get married and pool our resources. But as you know, women aren't getting married. They don't want to struggle, right? They want to work, keep their money, and then have the guy work, provide, and he has to use all his money. Basically, she wants to not pay rent, right? Women don't wanna they wait at the finish line and fuck the winners. They don't wanna grow with you. They don't want to. And if they do, it's gonna be, she's gonna have one foot out the door. I'm not trying to be blackpilling, right? I'm just trying to guys to get out of your head that female politicians or the political process in general is for you and on your side, because it's not. So, right. So yeah. It's why it's so important for you as a man to give up on gender-wide male victories. They will never happen. The only thing that matters is your own goals. Right, exactly. And this is really what the point of this video is that um again, it's not to like not care about the political process. It's not to like just give up forever. Like go vote if you have time to vote, learn about these things, learn about the branches of government, learn about how they pass bills, and there's nothing wrong with that, to learn, to be smarter, to be more educated on the way your government works, of course. However, at the same time, the only person that has your best interests at heart is you. So if you continuously think and wait for someone outside of you to make your life better, it's just going to make you miserable, right? It should be a pleasant surprise when you find out something that could make your life better. It shouldn't be like you were waiting on it, right? So, I think this morning, Trump revoked 80,000 visas. Now, if I was a person that was waiting every day for something to get better, that would be like a sigh of relief. And I don't even know if this is actually real, if it's a real headline, or what type of visas, or if it's even going to get blocked by a judge or something, right? But if I'm a guy that's made his happiness his own problem, and I see politics as something that's outside of me, and then I open this thread or open this post, and I see that news, I'm gonna be like, "Oh, nice, cool. I'm glad that this is happening." And then you move on with your day, right? And that you see who's happier. Who's happier. Um, Another thing about women in politics, right, is that they thrive a lot on male attention. Like, let's say the political influencers, right? So you have like a Lila Rose, who she's been caught. I don't know if it's embezzling money or just taking the money from her donations for shutting down like abortion clinics and stuff for herself. She's made a lot of money doing that. And on top of that, she shames men for their sexuality. She doesn't want she tells men that like we're the ones that cause abortion, right? Like we have zero reproductive rights. We have zero thing. The only thing we have a say in is whether we wear a condom or not. Even then, a woman can be like, "You're not having sex with me unless you put on a condom," right? And all that. And then on top of that, fellas, when Rollo Tomasi made that tweet about like, hey, uh, the vasectomy tweet that everyone went crazy for, um, they didn't like that either. So we become responsible. We do a whole medical procedure, and we take responsibility for something like unwanted children, and they still not happy. They're still not happy. The right as a goal does not like this. So you will never appeal to it's never enough, right? And this is it's a yoke. It's something they put on you, and they just keep whipping you and all that stuff. And Lila Rose will make 20K, 30K speaking maybe at an event, but she'll shut down one abortion clinic a year or two abortion clinics a year. And like, what does that even how does that even help, right? There's 200,000 abortions per day, sorry, per day in the world. And there's a million in the United States, and 72 million per year all over the world. I'm not sure, but yeah, um, that's wait, is it 72 or 7 million? I don't know. 72 million. I'm not sure, but yeah, that this is what I'm saying, guys. Like, um, just like the homeless problem. If the homeless problem ever got solved, the people in charge of the homeless problem would no longer be paid. So, do these female political influencers, whose job is to tell you men what they want to hear, um, are they doing anything? Are they affecting change? Is are they Do they have any power, right? Is Candace Owens more interested in her brand and making crazy headlines like accusing another political leader's wife of not being the sex she says she is? Is Lila Rose actually shutting down abortion clinics? Is Is Lauren Chen? She got caught by the feds laundering money to another country. I think you know, like just walk away from all this crazy and commotion, right? You don't even need to care about this. You can still love your country and not have to be look at this circus and be like, these people represent me. They represent their own interests, and especially women, they love themselves and are supporting their own interests, and they'll say whatever it takes. Women don't really have politics, right? They just say whatever they think we like. So if a woman is if there she wants to appeal to a group of men online that are racist, she's gonna do blackface. Is she really racist? No, she's probably had sex with a black man or a brown man or a Latino or whatever in the past, and she's probably enjoyed it and moaned. And you know what I'm saying? She's enjoyed sex with other men. And hell, if men stopped being racist and she was in the vicinity of a hot, clouded black man or brown man in her vicinity, like let's say at a political event, and he said the right things, she would feel something, you know? A woman's racism does not stop her from sleeping with the men that she's racist against, right? But if you're inexperienced with women and you're right wing, you'll believe that. And you'll believe that every day. And it's gonna mess with you for the rest of your life. And you're still gonna think that because you're white or of a certain socioeconomic class, that women are going to be on your side. And that's a sad thing. Women are not on anyone's side. They're on team women. And if they're not directly on team women, they're directly on team themselves. And sometimes they have to betray the sister a little bit, tiny bit. But even then, two women can be angry at each other and want to hurt each other, like talk shit about each other. And in their DMs, they can both be in the same group chat saying how shitty I am, right? Even though I agree politically 100% with one of them, right? Women will always prefer women over men, and that's always the way it's going to be, right? The treatment is more lucrative than the cure, exactly. If you're appealing to political authority, you're basically appealing to female authority. So relying on politicians to save you is useless, right? Because if, like, again, there is no, oh, sorry, there is no policy that can be passed that can only benefit men. Like, what policy has been passed lately that only benefits women? It has to benefit both, right? And even if there are policies that only benefit men or largely only men, like let's say like the gun stuff, um, women can use guns too, but men are the ones that like we're the protectors, right? So, I want a gun so I can protect my family, my house, my kids, blah blah blah. It's going to be met with a lot of uh backlash, and the gun debate is going to be a gun debate forever. So, yeah, exactly. I'm on nobody's side because no one is on my side, right? Like, and the thing is, guys, like, don't get me wrong. Like, I served my country. I always vote right wing. Um, I I like what I'm seeing with JD Vance and this Trump administration. I'm patient. I fully believe to get these illegal people out of here, and all that stuff, right? But I'm not holding my breath. I'm not thinking they're gonna save me. I'm just, hey, it's business as usual. I am the only person that has my best interests at heart. So, yeah. Let's take a quick break and we'll get back, guys. Super chat if you haven't already, if you would like to. And we'll continue soon. 1 second. All right. So as you know, all these people cut into power not because of how smart, intelligent, or things. I know that's kind of a dig on women, right? I don't know. There's probably plenty of attractive women, or sorry, smart women and attractive too, that could, you know, that are that are competent in their fields, right? But realize that whenever a female politician gets voted, it's because mostly, despite her competence or lack thereof, it's because she's a woman, and we're excited to be able to support a woman that we love and care about. We worship women, and any guy that says the opposite is full of himself, right? A woman crying, it's so deep ingrained in our DNA that a woman crying causes an adrenal response in our brain because we are designed to protect women from harm and danger. We just cannot help it, right? So, um, be honest with yourself. You too worship women innately. You just have to learn to work with that instead of, thinking that you're some hateful, shitty person. No, just, hey, you worship women just as much as the next guy. The problem is that you've you know it, you can control it, and you can use that worship for when it's necessary. You know, not for like women you don't know, politicians you don't know. It's for women. Usually it's maybe for women that have earned it, right, in your life. Not for women that, you know, just because they play heavy metal in the band. Hey, let's get her elected. She has one of the she's just like me, right? I'm like, well, most politicians, you have something in common hobby wise, right, with them. So, side note, but it's so funny seeing women re-download Hinge because that's where Mom Donnie met his wife. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, guys. In terms of the dating scene and all that stuff, it's not you, right? If you get a match, or you don't get a match, if you rejection, or dating apps, right? It's just everything is subject to trends. Dating is subject to trends. Um, don't take it too personally, right? Baby Mom Donnie winning was the best thing for your dating life because now more women are gonna flood the apps looking for their own goofy, looking city mayor, Democratic Socialist city mayor. So, yeah. But anyways, whew. All right, guys. I think that's all I have for today. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll talk to you guys later.